So this is not what we're talking about live. This is just like 90 seconds of a video that I uploaded. I don't know, was it yesterday or was it today? The days, they just be running together lately. You know those days? But if you haven't yet, check it out. It's called Idaho4, Roommate Activity Around the Time of the Murders. Everything confirmed by inside sources. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Watch the Obsession. I'm KAylee, the creator of this true crime channel that covers a number of true crime cases. I just got back into discussing the Idaho4 case, or what will be the state of Idaho Kohberger trial that we just found out is going to begin in the summer of 2025. It seems like such a long way away. I know many of us are very eager for that trial to begin, and we just want to know everything that there is to know about. No shit. Is that Gregory worth? Oh, all the frustration is worth it now. Gregory! Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you. We were talking about, and you too, DC Primetime. You guys both took quite a long recess. Gregory, we were talking about you just recently, and we were all missing you so much, and I'm so super happy you are here. I'll go through any amount of frustration now. Aw, Gregory, yay! And I love the rest of you too. Gregory, we haven't seen in a very long time. You must understand. This case, due to the strict and broad gag order, details about this case have remained a mystery, which has led to a lot of questions, curiosities that we all have about this case. Among those curiosities, one of the top ones has to be what was going on with the roommates, with the surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, during the time of the attack that took the lives of their roommates, Madison Moger, Kelly Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. This question remains out there because we know so little. We want to know, what did Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk witness in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022? More is known about Dylan Mortensen's experience due to what is said in the probable cause affidavit, where we know Dylan Mortensen reports to law enforcement early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. All right, so that's a good time to stop that, I guess. So that was just the very beginning of the video that I had uploaded. I don't even know if it was yesterday or today. Guys, seriously, you know, all that just happened. I was thinking about it. I was as I was coming on, I was like, am I going to mention it, or am I just going to gracefully keep my mouth shut? But I have had like one hell of a week. You know those weeks where you're just like, oh my God, if like something else goes wrong, I think like the world is going to spontaneously combust. It's been one of those. We're not going to, you know, dwell on it or anything, but you know, I'm just really glad to see all you guys. So, Honey Bun, thank you so much for gifting. I think you gifted 3 memberships now. Thank you so much. You are such a sweetheart. And Gregory Worth, this is such a joy. I'm so happy to see you. We are going to have to catch up. And hello, Lori Markle and DC Primetime. It's a special day when she's here too. Angel D, and just the same. Jen, thank you so much for everything you do. Hey, Kylan, oh, how's it going? Nice to see you. Welcome. Hey, Jeannie, how are you doing? Oh, Jeannie got a membership. Thank you, honey bun. And Gregory, and my girl, darling Sherry. How are you doing, Sherry? Thank you so much for always being here and just for being you. Hey, Beach Bum, how's it going? Nice to see you. Nilda, wonderful to see you as well. Oh, this is a great group. Totally worth it. Hey, Tina, how's it going? Nice to see you. And honey bun, and yes, please do hit the thumbs up. So, you know, this was like a little weird start, so it'll really help to get the notification out to our friends. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Kez Chicken, thank you so much for everything you do. And Jody is cool. I know she's in here too. Thank you, guys. You're the best. And Anaphylaxis. Hey, Just Alice. How's it going? Nice to see you. I'm just going to go up a little more, then I'll come down to current time. Let's see. Is it Mrs. R003? Is that right? Hey, how's it going? I remember you from, because I remember the name. How's it going? Nice to see ya. All right. Okay, so I'm going to try to come back down to current time and see if I can make my brain work and make this go. Hey, Adam, how's it going? Adam Drives Helen, how's it going? Adam Drives Helen, I did check out your channel. And everybody, Adam Drives Helen has a YouTube channel. Went all the way through chat during the last live stream, and I didn't mention that because I didn't realize it. And welcome. I'm so glad that you're back. Hey, Lindy Q, I'm going to call you. Oh, I'm praying you get membership sometime. Jeez, I know. Let's see. Hold it. Yes, this is the one. Just one moment, please. This is not a technical glitch. Don't worry about that. Hopefully I've got that all worked on my system. I know I'm not the most tech-savvy person, but that was just like stupidness. I don't even understand what happened. So moving on from that. There you go. Okay. Hey, Sarah, how's it going? Hey, PKC, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Angel D. Okay. Robin Tina 215 Sanderland. Can I just call you Robin S? Hey, how are you doing? Nice to see you too. Let's see. Oh, there you go. So I hope you got a membership. Let's see. Did you get a membership? I hope you did. I just gifted 5 memberships, and we thank Honey Bun who gifted 3 before. A lot of times I will match it when you guys gift memberships. Sometimes I don't remember to, but yeah, it's so wonderful for you guys to do that. Hey, Sabrina, how are you doing? Nice to see you. You can hear me. Awesome. That's so good. It's the little things that matter, right? Yes. Welcome to all the new members. Okay, so my goodness. So I hadn't talked about on this channel the Idaho4 case in months and months and months and months. And there are reasons why, but it's time to talk about this case again because it is interesting. There's a lot of pretrial things happening. Oh my gosh. I mean, if you check out, all the documents that drop from time to time, it's just absolute volumes. I wonder how big the discovery for this case is going to be in total when it's all said and done, right? So one of the only numbers I have in my head, of course, is the Watts discovery, which is 1,960 pages, which is actually very small. Every case is different, but relatively speaking, it's rather small considering the nature of the crimes and that there are multiple crimes and that there are multiple homicides. In this case, considering there are multiple homicides, and we all know it is a very complex case. I mean, my gosh, if, Ann Taylor hasn't made you aware of that yet, then I guess you haven't been listening. This discovery is going to be absolutely massive. I mean, they already have, what is the amount of evidence or information that contains, I don't like they say, we have X amount of evidence, and I don't remember what that number is anymore. Someone refresh me. But it's really information, and there within contains the evidence, right? But it's a lot. So I'm just really curious as to how big the discovery will be when it's all said and done for this case. Maybe we should do some channel friendly wagers on that. Oh my goodness. 53 terabytes. Ding, 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 ding. Thank you, PKC. That's exactly it. That's what I had in my mind. Actually, it really is 53. I wasn't sure if it was going to be terabytes or some other bytes. And I didn't want to sound silly when I said it. So thank you for verifying that. I think it's 53, maybe 51. Let's call it 52. Split it right down the middle, right? Oh, man. Let's see. And Sherry's been a member for 5 months. My darling. Our girl, Sherry. You're awesome, Sherry. Okay. Echoes of Clarity. Welcome. How are you doing? Steve told a lawyer that they were having a hard time connecting him. Okay, so the way I'm reading that is Steve told a lawyer they were having a hard time connecting him. Are you talking about connecting Bryan Kohberger? And if you're talking about that, are you talking about connecting him to the crime, to the roommates? You think it's 52? Awesome. Somewhere around there. I mean, when you're talking over 50 terabytes, what's it really matter? A page here, a terabyte there, it's It's a number we kind of can't even really wrap our heads around. Clearly not all that is against him. Oh, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Right. Let's see. Okay. So, let's just go back to talking about the probable cause affidavit. There was a number of things that I wanted to cover in tonight's live stream. I really wanted to talk about the Idaho case after, creating the video that I dropped. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. I truly don't. Isn't that crazy? I think I'm lost on the space-time continuum. I've been really, kind of re-energized and interested in this case again. And I also feel brave and in good footing to talk about it again. Now, all you crazy Bryan Kohberger supporters out there, you need to slow your roll. We're not doing all that again. And you know what I'm saying? Kelly's not playing those games. And there's so many interesting things to talk about regarding this case as you look back. There is the initial news broadcasts, which are super, I think, fascinating to look back on. And then there's everything that was said and everything that was covered during that time, from the time this tragedy occurred until Bryan Kohberger was arrested on my birthday, I may add, December 30th. And gosh, it's like a lifetime of true crime just in that time span. So from the time when this tragedy happened, November 13th, 2022 to December 30th, when he was arrested, it really was only a month and a half, but it seems like so much longer, doesn't it? I think it does. So there's all of that. And then when the PCA came out, obviously there was just so much to chew on and so many surprises, things we didn't see coming, and then so many things that happened after that were really interesting. So we're just going to take a little bit of a winding road, a meandering route from University of Idaho back to the Washington State University. I'm just kidding. That's what Bryan Kohberger did. And we're just going to check out some interesting or key points in this case. Yes. Right. Sabrina says they postponed the trial another year. It is now anticipated to begin. The trial start date has been set to be June of 2025. That's right, folks. June of 2025. I think that is a 32-month time span from when the murders occurred to when the trial is going to be going down. I don't know. I was going to say that's on the longer side of things, but I don't know. It's, every case is different. It's kind of all relative. If I said that, I would be saying something that's not backed by fact. And you know how much I love my pie charts. You're a December baby too? Aw, Sherry. What day were you born in December, if you don't mind? Ooh, I like that idea. Angel D says, Kelly, if there's a change of venue, maybe we'll get cams in court. That would be amazing. Yeah. Oh, mine's the 30th. Hey, we are almost twinsies. You're a Capricorn too, Sherry. That's awesome. I didn't know that we were Capricorn twins. That's awesome. Love you, Sherry. Sabrina says they found one of the 4's IDs in his closet, correct? Now, okay, so I personally do not know that to be true. See, this is, oh gosh, there's just been so much information pouring out, and there's people like Jennifer Kovendaffer that help to facilitate the, that information that lies in that hazy area of we have no idea if this is fact or fiction into the mainstream, into everybody's brains, and into being part of the accepted by some narrative. And I think where that came from is that, well, you know what? We're going to circle back to that. I'm going to start, and I promise you we're going to circle back to it. I'm going to bring something into the stream right here, and let's just start to take a look at the probable cause affidavit and some of the highlights in the probable cause affidavit. kind of a miracle we're all here, guys, you know? That's what I'm feeling like right now. Let's see. All right. Do you know I have made or have live streamed like over 170 videos about this case? Honest to God, guys, when I was going back and looking through them to create the video that I dropped yesterday or today, don't even know, space-time continuum problem, I made videos I literally don't even remember making, and I don't know how that happened. I'm not sure if that's happened with any other case. It's really weird.
The first third of the probable cause affidavit for Bryan Kohberger's arrest. That's the part of the affidavit that has to deal with the crime scene at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. And it also has to deal with the statements made by the surviving roommates, Bethany and Dylan. And there are plenty of legitimate questions out there, but some of the speculation and conjecture is getting...
I'm sorry, I just have to say this. Another thing, something that has me all twisted up today and this week is, you know, I made, you know, several videos with music for this case. I have kind of like 3 standard intros that I worked really hard on because I wanted to, you know, kind of imbibe just the energy of this case and this story the best I could. You know, and it's just something I did. Well, YouTube has changed how they handle music. Of course, the music I used, I bought the licenses for that music so I could use those tracks, you know, under the terms I was using. And I'm not trying to take from anybody without giving, right? But YouTube has recently changed how all of that works. So all of this Idaho material I have now with this music underlying it, it either is, I've had a couple videos that got shut down, or it's strictly like non-monetization, which, you know, I could say is neither here nor there. But, you know, if I love this channel, you know, I'm a single mom. I've always been a hustler and a hard worker. If I wasn't doing something as a side gig that was bringing in some extra income so my son could have a nice life and I could raise my 28 bunnies, you know, if I wasn't doing it with a YouTube channel, I'd be doing it with something else. You know, I taught yoga classes. Anyway, it's just really crazy. So if you have the opportunity, please let YouTube know that you do not like their bait and switch with the music policies.
A little bit crazy. I'm hoping that the detailed visual outline will help us remember what is fact and what is fiction so we can proceed sensibly. The following is what is contained in the probable cause affidavit towards the arrest of Bryan Kohberger in the Idaho4 tragedy, the murders of KAylee Goncalves, Madison, Moger, Xana, Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. The below information is provided by Brett Payne, who is a duly appointed, qualified, and acting peace officer within the County of Latah, state of Idaho. Brett Payne is employed by Moscow Police Department in the official capacity or position of corporal and has been a trained and qualified peace officer for approximately 4 years. Corporal Payne is being assisted by members of the Idaho State Police and agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. On November 13, 2022, at approximately 4 p.m., Moscow Police Department, Sergeant Blaker and I responded to 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, here after the King Road residence, to assist with scene security and processing of a crime scene associated with 4 homicides. Upon our arrival, the Idaho State Police, ISP, forensic team was on the scene and was preparing to begin processing the scene. MPD Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers to the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene.
I just have to say,
Smith and I...
Susan just said her son's birthday is December 30th. That's my birthday. That's the day that Bryan Kohberger was arrested. And Gregory Worth just said my birthday is December 31st. My very best friend in the whole world and her husband's birthdays are December 31st. Isn't that crazy? Well, we are also bonded Capricorns too, Gregory, and I should have known. I'm so happy you're here.
I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. Officer Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. Officer Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana's driver license and other personal belongings found in the room was Xana Kernodle's, hereafter Kernodle's, room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body, later identified as Kernodle's, lying on the floor. Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin, hereafter Chapin. Chapin was also deceased with wounds determined later, autopsy reports provided by Spokane County Medical Examiner, dated December 15th, to be caused by sharp force injuries. I followed Officer Smith upstairs to the third floor of the residence. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be KAylee Goncalves', hereafter Goncalves' room. I later learned from review of Officer Noon's body camera there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. The dog belonged to Goncalves and her ex-boyfriend, Jack Decor. I found out from my interview with Jack Decor on November 13th, 2022, that he and Goncalves shared the dog. Officer Smith then pointed out a small bathroom on the east side of the third floor. This bathroom shared a wall with Madison Mogen's, hereafter Mogen, bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the third floor. As I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Goncalves and Mogen were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogen's right side when viewed from the door. The sheath was later processed and had a K-bar, USMC, and the United States Marine Corps Eagle globe and an anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA, suspect profile, left on the button snap of the knife sheath. As part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department officers, Idaho State Police detectives, and FBI agents. 2 of the interviews include BF, Bethany, and DM, Dylan. Both BF and DM were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides and were roommates to the victims.
I say DM Dylan and BF Bethany because when this first came out, the probable cause affidavit first came out, I was not decided if I was going to say their full names or not. I was going to kind of wait to, take the lead of the true crime community as to what was appropriate. Are these people considered surely victims, or, are we going to handle them with this level of respect as we would people who are not suspects in other cases? Well, hell no, not in this case, so, which is which I don't think is right. I mean, I don't think they should be handled with kid gloves, but, I think they take a lot of heat for things that they shouldn't. But that's why I just whispered their names right there.
BF's bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor of the King Road residence. Based on numerous interviews conducted by MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents, as well as my review of evidence, I have learned the following. On the evening of November 12th, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle are seen by BF at the Sigma Chi House on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Perce Drive from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th. BF also estimated that at approximately 1:45 a.m., Chapin and Kernodle returned to the King Road residence. BF also stated that Chapin did not live in the King Road residence but was a guest of Kernodle. Goncalves and Moger were at a local bar, the Corner Club, at 202 North Main Street in Moscow. Goncalves and Moger.
Okay, with the mention of the Corner Club, I've seen a couple people in chat say that they are suspicious still of JD, Jack DeCour, KAylee's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, whatever we were considering him. I'm so curious why, and we like to have open conversations here. You can state your opinion. Please feel free to do so, as long as you're being respectful towards the victims and their surviving family members. That's like the rule here. That is the rule. Why are you suspicious still of Jack DeCour? I'm super interested.
And can be seen on video footage provided by the Corner Club between 10 p.m. on November 12th and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Goncalves and Moger can be seen on video at a local food vendor called the Grub Truck at 318 South Main Street in downtown Moscow. The Grub Truck live streams video from their food truck on the streaming platform Twitch, which is available for public viewing on their website. The video is captured by law enforcement. A private party, redacted, reported that he provided a ride to Goncalves and Moger at approximately 1:56 a.m. from downtown Moscow, in front of the Grub Truck, to the King Road residence. Roommates Dylan and Bethany both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 a.m. and asleep, or at least in their rooms, by approximately 4 a.m. This is with the exception of Kernodle, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash delivery driver who reported this information. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second.
I'm wondering, as we cross that juncture, because I do have a video that talks about, well, what I'm considering the most egregious stories that were kind of told, or narratives that were out there about this case, and we can play a little game. Is it true or false? I wonder if I should jump over to that, or let me just take a look at it. Or if I should stay with this for a little while, because this does get a little dry. We have heard it all before, right? Okay. Just give me one moment. Actually, you know what? While I am thinking, I'm just going to keep playing this right now.
Floor. DM stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated playing with her dog in one of the up's bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Kernodle's phone showed this could have also been Kernodle, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. DM Dylan Mortensen stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. DM stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's room. DM then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, quote, "It's okay, I'm going to help you," end quote. At approximately 4:17 a.m., A security camera located at 1112 King Road, a resident immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. Barking numerous times from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. DM stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. That's a quote.
And there's some blank.
That back kind of round.
Okay, this is where I wanted to go.
So there is the window right here that goes out into that back kind of ground floor patio or deck area. Turning around the room. Here is the door that we're looking at right now that exits out.
Now, when I uploaded that video yesterday or today, or maybe it was 2 days ago or yesterday, I don't freaking know. I'm lost in the space-time continuum for sure. This question always comes up, or this statement always comes up about what way does Dylan Mortenson's bedroom door open? Does it open in towards her when she opens the door from the perspective of her being in the bedroom? Does that door open in, or does that door open out? I feel like I distinctly remember Angel D in DC Primetime on a live stream when we talked this out before. Does anyone know the answer to the question? Hi, Swampside Chick. How are you doing? Angel D says, we're gonna circle right back, but while you think about that, does the door open in or out from Dylan's bedroom? Does it open into the bedroom or out to the hallway? Let me read a couple comments. Angel D says, I want to know if Bethany Funk took pics or a video of the potential perp out in front of 1122, allegedly. I hadn't even thought of that, honestly. Had not even thought of that. Huh. So I asked, why y'all suspicious of JD if y'all are? And Ellie says, when Bryan got arrested, I gave up on my JD theory altogether, but nothing's come together. And I'm going to pick back up when you continue that. Oh, in your opinion. Okay. Yeah, all good. Angel D says, I get so confused with all the information Xana's mom reported at the start. Yeah, well, it doesn't even have to necessarily do with that. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I would like to reference the Apple River stabbing. Oh, yeah. Great point. Okay. Marco, welcome and thank you. Listen, it's no secret that I believe that these atrocities could be committed in the amount of time that was allotted. I believe these atrocities could be committed in the amount of time that was allotted by one person. If that one person is of the stature and size and relative strength and, kind of fitness and mental aptitude that would be equivalent to someone like, say, suspect Bryan Kohberger, right? I believe that is possible. And I know a lot of people say, one person couldn't have done that amount of time. He couldn't have done that amount of time. And someday we're going to have a really good conversation about that. But in regards to that idea, Marco says, I would like to reference the Apple River stabbing. And I was like, huh? Look how quick all of that occurred. Absolutely. That's right. And yeah, so many injuries, death. Yeah, absolutely. Great point, Marco. Angel D says, like, was what Xana's mom said hearsay, or was it true firsthand knowledge? Well, I think it was all kind of secondhand knowledge for this reason. I mean, we do know that, so sadly, she wasn't so much, she says herself, she wasn't so much in touch with Xana as of recently. She had not actually been to the house. She had been in contact with Xana's dad, and it sounded like the bulk of that communication happened, and I don't know this for certain. This is how I took it, as a result of, you know, them grieving together after this tragedy occurred. So I think it was definitely secondhand knowledge. Yeah. When Dylan Morrison heard that, she could have died. She should have dialed 911. Yeah. Well, why wouldn't she just call 911? You know, I definitely wrestled with this, as I know a lot of people have. You know, I did put out a video a while ago. I'll see if I can link it here. I think it's an important video to watch, not because I made it or anything like that. Informationally, the information in it is important for everybody to consider. You know, definitely in this case with Dylan Mortensen and the frozen shock phase, but you know, also when we are, you know, observing and analyzing anybody who is involved in, you know, a traumatic situation. And then, of course, our natural thing to do is we make a conclusion. And in order to do that, we do have to impose some judgment, right? But as we are applying our judgment to these human beings who have been through these situations that are extraordinary, right? You know, I think that, you know, exercising compassion is always something I am definitely a fan of, but also understanding physiologically, psychologically, how the human body and mind work. And in having that understanding, it might then inform us of why a behavior existed that seems like, what the F, right? So anyway, the video is frozen shock phase. And by the way, if you don't know this about me, I'm Kelly. I'm a behavioral therapist, and I study human behavior and reactions and things like that. It's what I do, what I've done for a while. So people, when they are faced with trauma or like shock or severe, you know, severe stress, which those things qualify as, they go into flight, fight, flop, freeze, or friend mode. This is the 5 F's, okay? Fight, flight, flop, freeze, or friend. And these are physiological responses that are driven by the parasympathetic system. In other words, they're not choices we make with our bodies, you know, with our whole beings. You know, essential drive is for survival. When we are faced with severe trauma or shock, you know, our minds are not in control. Our more intelligent, intuitive body takes over, right? So, and guys, there's so much case study on this. You know, I always joke that I like pie charts, but I mean, this is evidence-based stuff for sure. When faced with trauma or shock or just, you know, severe stress, fight, flight, fight, flop, freeze, or friend, and we do not choose the response. Now, if you're somebody who is highly trained, like, you know, maybe you've had military training or law enforcement training, or you're a goddamn Navy SEAL, you know, you might have some more control than, you know, your average Joe over how you respond in those extremely stressful situations. But the average person does not. Does that make sense? Oh, okay. Got off in a little tangent there, but sometimes that happens. So Ellie says, 2 minutes after hearing these things, she's frozen in fear. Why not call the police? She saw him walk out the door. So I think I just kind of responded to that. But still, it still is a discussion. I still definitely have questions about the response and about the 8-hour delay between when the tragedy happened and the 911 call, it does not make sense. And I can't wait to hear through testimony in the trial what those missing pieces of the puzzle are, because there's definitely some missing pieces. CDB says, hi, CDB, how are you doing? Look at Bundy. He attacked many victims and homes with other people present. Almost every single one was not aware even after hearing or seeing the killer. People don't just assume murder. That's right. I mean, Nicole Kessinger told us about that, you know. She's like, you know, if I call one of my friends, I can't go hold them. It's like, I'm like, murder is not like what I think of, right? But yeah, no, really good point though. Yeah. I believe it opens in, staying right on task there. We're going to look at that in a minute. Thank you for keeping me on task, Susan. Yeah, I'm going to get right to that in a minute. Mm-hmm. Is Susan right? Does Dylan Mortensen's bedroom door open inward? Marco says, like his rights are being abused. And I don't know what his preceding comment was, but I really would like to find it because I think I like the way Marco thinks. I came across a content creator, which I will not name, and seems to be advocating for BK. Oh, honey, there's too many. Like his rights are being abused. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And it's those people, those are the well, you know, what occurred with them is the reason why I didn't talk about this case for months and months and months and months and months and months and months, because they are really serious about their cause. Let's just say it like that. Hey, how are you doing? Looks like it would open in based on the door frame, in my opinion. Geneva says, welcome. How are you doing? Yep. Most bedroom doors open in. Oh, you know what? I didn't even think of it in those terms. Is that so? Huh. Jen says, she, and I think you're referring to Dylan Mortensen, saved her and Bethany Funk's life by texting just in case there was an intruder. Yeah, I mean, that could be very possible. Let's see. Seems like people are coming in and out of that house at all hours. Yes, that does seem like an agreed upon fact, right? Difficult to say what we would do in that same situation. 911 caller. Absolutely, it is. I you know, honestly, I think it's almost impossible given what I just said about the fight, flight, freeze, flop, or friend response. One of those 5 Fs that we have that is not a conscious choice. I think that level of fear and shock. I mean, if Dylan Mortensen really was, in fear in a way that would put her in this frozen shock phase, which means she went into that parasympathetic nervous system response, which rendered her, incapable of choosing how she responded with her own conscious mind, because rather her more intelligent, intuitive nervous system body took over, so to speak. If she really did feel that fear, I mean, guys, think of like a time when you've been like the most scared is like ever, right? Like it is intense. Like the intensity of that kind of fear, I mean, it really takes over. It really does. Angel D says, well, remember that interview with Mr. G when he said the survivors were distraught and something about they made a mistake. I took that, in my opinion, to not be calling 911. It was a regrettable mistake. I do remember that, and I consider that may have been what he was talking about as well. Oh, I'd like to find that. I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, wow. I don't want to pin that, Angel, but gosh. Wow. I'm glad you're okay. PKC says, in my opinion, I don't think she knew for sure that he left, just that he walked towards the sliding door in the kitchen. I agree with you on that. Yeah, I do agree with that. Stevie B says, I really want to hear Bethany Funk's story. What she heard and saw is critical to understanding what the scene inside the house was like. Watch the video that I just dropped yesterday or today or the day before. You know, I don't know. Maybe you've heard that information that I've talked about. I put it out there at some point. I haven't talked about it in a while, but it is part of the perspective that this channel looks at things from, because I don't want to get into it now, but yeah, it just is. So it's, I don't know. Damn, Angel, that's crazy. Sorry you went through that. The NK voice, yes. It has to be spontaneous, though. I was just going to try to throw it in there, but it has to be fully spontaneous. NK has to, you know, really inspire me. So Stevie B says to Ellie, or Elle, I'm sorry, do you really not think the police would know if she was involved? They have her phone downloaded, so every location and communication. Yeah, I would certainly hope the police would know that. Yeah. Yes. Anaphylaxis says to Angel, the most important thing is that you're safe and away from him. Amen. So let's see. Robin S says, question, we all have seen the video of them walking to the food truck when they are under the light and they are talking about, what did you tell Adam? Is that Quinn's truck that parks under the light? Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah, I know people have, you know, looked into that, tried to investigate that. Gregory Worth says, Robin, that white truck has always given me an eerie feeling. Oh. Hi, Olivia. How are you doing? Welcome. I'm going to play a little more of this. I actually want to find that footage of that white truck really quick to look at with you guys. Now, remember, does Dylan Morrison's bedroom door open in towards her or out into the hall?
Towards the living area and kitchen. Just so you can get a full picture of this room, you know, here's the rest of it. Something important to note about this room is that if we were to go straight up, Madison's room is directly above Dylan's second floor bedroom. So this is Madison's room. We're going to get to this in a minute.
Now, I think this is really important to remember. With the layout of the house, Maddie's room is directly above Dylan's bedroom. Maddie's bed is essentially right above Dylan's bed. Now, when I realized this and really thought about it, this is kind of what made it hard for me to understand how everything went down. So we know what happened in Maddie's bed, right? We know what happened in Maddie's bed. KAylee and Maddie were found deceased. Some horrible things happened. The knife sheath was found partially under Maddie, partially under the cover. So, you know, things had been moved around. It's not like, you know, it was like a hit, out, done, you know, kind of situation. There had to have been, I don't even know what kind of noise. And, you know, thinking when I first, you know, learned about what Dylan Mortensen's experience was, I was thinking about, you know, hearing these things like, you know, I thought it was KAylee playing with, you know, her dog, or, you know, like as if they were down the hall and far away down the corridor, you know, but really it was right above her head. I mean, those have to be 8-foot ceilings, no, 8-9-foot ceilings. Definitely not more. Okay. So we're talking like 6, 7, 5 feet above her head. Think about that.
We note here where the knife sheath was found and, some other things. But for now, let's go back down to Dylan's second floor bedroom. Woo. Directly below Madison's bedroom. Okay, so here we are. All right, so now as we approach the door, I don't want to get that close, I don't think. Let me turn back around. Closet. I'm going to stand over here again.
Let's see. Hey there, Convict's Thoughts with A.R. Hayes. I have watched some of your material and I enjoyed it. Welcome. How are you doing?
In the corner, looking into the room from the far corner. Okay, so now we're going to head out that door. So as you're looking out of Dylan's second floor bed.
Okay, important question. So Kylan says, is this a photo or an artist rendering? Good point. This is a virtual tour. I think it is digitally generated, but I was doing my homework before the live stream, and let me show you some actual photographs here. Well, I'm going to keep playing this for another minute while I bring up the photographs here.
Bedroom. This is what you're seeing. You're looking into the kitchen. You're not facing or directly seeing a door to Xana's bedroom or even her bathroom. So I believe when you look at the layout of 1122 King Road from this perspective, it helps for the PCA to make more sense. So again, Dylan's second floor bedroom is right next to the stairwell to the third floor. All right, so just hanging back in that bedroom for a moment. Turning around. So now remember, it was, of course, dark out. It was around 4 a.m. when this tragedy occurred. So here's a vantage point in darkness as you're looking out from Dylan's second floor bedroom into the living area at night. You can't see much, right? So again, to me, this helps to make a lot more sense of the PCA and Dylan's account in the PCA that many, including myself, have found to be extremely questionable. This gives us some really great perspective and helps us to stand where Dylan was standing at that time, although we certainly can't feel the fear she was feeling.
And the door does open into her bedroom, of course, as you see there. Let me just make sure, I want to make sure the room I'm referencing here with the photos is the right room. So
let's see the far corner. Okay, so now we're going to head out that door.
Okay.
First, using a presumptive at that time, although we certainly can't feel the fear she was feeling, this gives us a better perspective, right? And we see on the ground here is that footprint that is mentioned in the PCA. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by the ISP forensic team by first using a presumptive blood test and then the amino black, a protein stain that detects the presence of cellular material. He detected shoe print.
Okay, definitely don't want to get into the presumptive test there. Okay. So I'm going to bring into the stream actual picture of Dylan's bedroom. And we've already determined that her bedroom door opens into the bedroom, not out into the hall. So I'm not exactly sure why we're looking at this again. I think there's probably another reason, but here it is. Okay. So, yeah, found on Reddit. Let me just take a look at some comments here. Chick Tracy, okay, not feeling well. Hope you're okay, Chick Tracy. I can't find the comment where. Okay. I hope everyone's okay. Nilda says, hi, Brandy. Is my understanding they will not release 911 call until trial. Oh, hells no. Oh, my God. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Brandy, hi, Brandy. Welcome. How are you? Screams of terror are way different from just screams. I think that's a fair point. Unless she was extremely drunk or high, nothing makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it truly doesn't make sense. Gregory says, I've always believed that someone deliberately left that sliding door unlocked. I have a feeling, and I don't know, but I don't know. I guess, they had just changed the locks on the bedroom doors. I have a feeling it was unlocked a lot, but maybe they were having a heightened sense of awareness. And the reason I'm referring to that is, Xana Kernodle's dad saying that he had just changed the locks on the bedroom doors, weeks before this happened. Stevie B says, how do you know they were screams of terror? Camera 50 feet away, heard voices, a whimper, and a thud. No blood-curdling screams. Well, right. We don't know what the acoustics were. We don't know what the, the vector or the angle of, there's a lot of variables in there. Don't you think, y'all? I mean, as a whole, can we agree on that? Angel D says, in my opinion, Dylan Morton probably heard everything, but had no idea what she was actually hearing. I think that makes a lot of sense. Your roommates are being loud, having an argument, getting it on. Probably put your earbuds in my opinion. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Brandy has a different perspective on, the neighbor's cam picking up the sound, saying the screams were picked up on the neighbor's door cam. They were that loud. Right. Yeah. Which kind of, you guys are all making the point I was trying to make verbally, but you're making it in your conversation naturally. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're looking for where the hinges are. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, let's see. The hinges are, I think you can see it in this one. I'm not sure though. Okay. Yeah. There's not enough contrast here. Let's see. The hinges are on the inside of the door. This isn't the greatest picture, I guess. Let's see. Maybe we can find another one. Yeah, the hinges are on the, okay, so I went through all of these pictures of the interior of the house. And for all of the interior doors, I feel like I'm having deja vu relative to Gregory Worth. Have we had this conversation before? Also, Gregory Worth. I feel like we've had this conversation on this channel a few times. All of the hinges on the interior doors throughout the house are on the inside of the room, meaning not in the common, the common way, not in the hallway, not in, the foyer. They're on the inside of a room, a living room, a bedroom, a bathroom. You know what I mean? So yeah, you can't see that really well right here. There's not too much. There's not really enough contrast, but that is the case. Brandy says, if you're being attacked in your if you're being attacked in your bed by a stranger, if you're being attacked in your bed by a stranger getting stabbed, would you whimper? If you're being attacked, yeah, I mean, I think, well, I was actually reading that one of two ways. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there. Please feel free to clarify, though. Okay, so Brandy says there were two girls. He could stab both before one of them screamed loudly. Guys, we have talked about this definitely before. You know, think of that weapon. Think of Bryan Kohberger or whoever the assailant was going into that house, knowing what they were going to do. You were going to commit murder with a K-bar knife, you know, with a fixed blade knife that sometimes forgets its sheath. You know, I'm assuming the assailant knew, knew the weapon, knew what it was capable of, knew what the weapon's potentiality is on human flesh, connective tissue, and bone, and knew where to, basically where to stab somebody to get away with murder. So there are a number of places you could stab a person that would render them voiceless in, a millisecond. So I just think that's something to consider too. Not that you haven't, but Beach Bum says she is very lucky the door doesn't open outward. Damn straight. That's right. Great statement. Yeah. Brandy says, in a dream, I've tried to scream and nothing came out, but never in real life. It's involuntary. Wow. I'm trying to think if I've actually had that experience in real life or it's only been in dreams when I've had that experience. Because I know that feeling, right? Y'all know that feeling? Who's your vintage? Hey, some rando. What's up? How are you doing? I'm just going to read this out loud. Robin S. says, on Law and Crime Network a year ago, the extended version of the cops talking to the boys in the field. The boy in the USA shirt with a beer, is that a white Elantra parked behind in the background? Oh, gosh. I'm having flashbacks. And Olivia B. says yes, and I don't know if that was to your question, Robin, or not. Brandy says earbuds could have prevented them from hearing things. That would explain not hearing, but I thought she said she heard yelling. Well, at some point she did. So what is said is that she hears something that sounds like KAylee playing with her dog. She hears a male voice saying, it's okay. I'm here to help you. Chilling, right? Could possibly be very chilling. And she hears, which sounds to her like Xana crying. So did she hear those things and then put in her earbuds, if we're going with this, and then she didn't hear anymore? Maybe at the time when the volume of whatever was going on increased. We just don't know that. There's just so many details that we do not have, or we're not able to wrap our heads around because we just don't know enough, Jen, thank you so much for gifting a membership, and welcome new member. Oh, and another one. Thank you so much, Jen. That's so sweet of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Brandy says, but wasn't he surprised by the extra girl in the room? He didn't plan for that, supposedly. Yeah, I think he absolutely was. And I believe that's what it's described to be from, KAylee's own family members and others, that, KAylee's injuries were like, something kind of different. I think that element of surprise that she bestowed upon him would perhaps account for the, ferocity with which he, slashed her, leaving her with injuries that were something different. I don't know what words to use. None of them are good. It's not even about YouTube, but I just want to be respectful. Olivia B says, terrifying. I've done the same while dreaming. Yeah, where you go to scream and nothing comes out. Yeah. I know that feeling so well. Is it only in dreams? And how often do I have that dream, or has that ever happened to me in real life? I don't know. What do you guys think? Has that ever happened to any of you in real life where you go to scream, but nothing comes out? Yes, we are largely in part discussing the roommate Dylan. Yes. Stella. Okay, so Angel D says, well, if you read Ethan's sister-in-law's alleged post, screaming. Okay, you're right. And actually, that was something that I, actually included in the video that I just put out. And I also do, that has been verified to me from sources aside from Reddit that was Ethan's sister-in-law who made that post, and everything that was said in that post is something that person stands by to this day. Oops. Oh, I can't play any of this because of the music. Oh. Really? Shut up, true crime, Kelly. Okay. All right. Here we go. I want to find that really quick, Angel. Okay. So this is what Angel is referring to here.
People have that is corroborated by a couple of the victims' families, being Chrissy Goncalves and someone from Ethan Chapin's family through a Reddit post. We believe that Dylan Mortensen called all of the roommates that night when she was alarmed due to what she heard and what she saw as described in the probable cause affidavit. What she heard and what she saw that caused her to look out of her bedroom door 3 times and then ultimately lock herself in her bedroom as described in the post. We believe that Dylan Mortensen called all of the roommates that night when she was
Sorry, I want to get the exact
alarmed
wording
due
here. Oops. Lay, damn it.
Chapin's family through a Reddit post. We believe that Dylan Mortensen called all of the roommates that night when she was alarmed due to what she heard.
So that was a headline. Family of Idaho murder victim Ethan Chapin questions why surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen did not call the cops after hearing crying and screaming, and that's in quotes. And claims she called all of the girls in the house rather than 911.
And what she saw as the male walked towards the back sliding glass door.
Do you guys want to hear more about that claim from Ethan's sister-in-law, or shall I move past it? Brad Harris says the roommates were involved and know a lot more. Nancy Drew, welcome. How are you doing? So do you guys want more follow-up on that Ethan Chapin's sister-in-laws? Okay, very good. Let me just keep playing this for a moment more. I'm going to go pull up another video, and or the article.
Dylan Mortensen locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Dylan Mortensen stated that she did not recognize the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. According to the students from the University of Idaho, what Bethany Funk saw in those early morning hours corroborates the fact.
And this, I'm playing from the video that I just uploaded yesterday or today or 2 days ago, the most recent video I uploaded about the Idaho case.
That Dylan Mortensen called all of her roommates when she was alarmed by what she heard and ultimately what she saw. Apparently, Bethany Funk was awoken as well by the noise that she heard, or maybe she was woken by Dylan Mortensen contacting her on her phone. We are really not sure, but what is known is that Bethany Funk looked out of her bedroom window from the first floor, and what she saw was a man walking away from the 1122 King Road house, dressed in the same manner as the man clad in black that Dylan Mortensen saw outside her bedroom door. Now, this is as far as Bethany could tell from her perspective. So the story goes like this. Bethany, looking out the window of her bedroom, which is this bedroom right here. If you've seen the three.
Yikes. Okay, so I'm trying to bring in the bit about the, here we go. Okay.
Ethan Chapin questioned why surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen didn't call the cops after hearing crying and screaming, and claims
So I know right where that is.
this. I remembered something that I had put in the back of my memory and I had almost forgot, which was surprising to me because of how I feel about the way back when. In February, this was reported. Here's a headline. It says, family of Idaho murder victim Ethan Chapin questioned why surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen didn't call the cops after hearing crying and screaming, and claims she called all of the girls in the house rather than 911. So the claim here that is made by some members of the Chapin family is very much in line with what Christy Goncalves said to the Drunk Turkey Show, that, well, the simple fact that Dylan Mortensen called all of the roommates because she was alarmed, she was scared. I'm not sure what the word is because we don't know too many details about how she was feeling truly. All we've heard is frozen shock phase, which I'm really, really starting to question at this point. This report regarding what the Chapins were questioning.
And hold tight because there's forthcoming here more details about what Ethan Chapin's sister-in-law said in this post or in this thread.
Corroborates what Christy Goncalves said just 4 weeks ago.
Not 4 weeks ago from now.
A family member of murdered University of Idaho student Ethan Chapin has questioned why the roommates who survived the slayings did not call the police. An account believed to be belonging to Ethan's sister-in-law made several posts online before the arrest affidavit was unsealed for the suspected quadruple murders. The court document detailed how surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen came face to face with a masked man on the night of the murders. Ethan's sister-in-law has since revealed that Dylan, who was in the property at the time of the killings along with Bethany Funk, and this is going to be a direct quote from the Reddit post where Reddit supposedly verified the identity of the poster as being who she claimed to be and the sister-in-law of Ethan Chapin. The post says,
And
Dylan supposedly called all the girls in the house after the crying and screaming. She needs to explain herself and her actions. When she was questioned about who called the police, she added, 911 caller was the friend who went to the house because Dylan called him to come over because she was scared from what she heard in the night. She goes on to say, he went to Xana and Ethan's room first, then called 911. Why Dylan or Bethany didn't call the police once is the question. Now, I do want to say that this report is completely consistent with what the two University of Idaho fraternity brothers of Ethan Chapin have told me for the past 7 months. Now, this article goes on to talk about another point that I want to raise here in this video. It says, Mortensen told cops...
Wait. Here's another important point, though. And thank you for bringing this up. PKC says, because we want to be as clear as possible. Not to criticize. It's okay. You can criticize. But sister-in-law doesn't know everything. Absolutely. Damn Skippy. She doesn't. Just what she may have heard. I totally agree with that. True or not. Christy stated that KAylee's phone did not have an incoming call. And that's really important because I'm sure KAylee's phone did not have an incoming call from Dylan because, listen, the way that Dylan contacted all of the roommates and then communicated with Bethany Funk, at least in part of how she communicated with Bethany Funk, it wasn't like, pick up the phone, press speed dial or press dee and call, right? It was texting, whether it was like SMS texting or it was WhatsApp. I'm sure it was just regular texting. I don't know, but I do know the nature of it was, digitally transmitted communication. I guess we can say it like that. But that's a really important point, though, because, Christy stated that KAylee's phone did not have an incoming call, and I'm sure that they checked. So just wanted to point that out. Thank you, PKC.
She was awoken at around 4 a.m. by what sounded like victim Goncalves playing with her dog in a third floor bedroom. She says she looked out of her room but didn't see anything, looking again on the second occasion when she thought she heard Xana Kernodle was crying. Mortensen stated she opened the door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. The man moved towards her, she said, but she remained in a frozen shock phase as he continued past her, but let her survive. Okay, guys, I want to then refer to one small paragraph in the probable cause affidavit that says, at approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. Okay, so a dog started barking and was heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. So we know that Murphy, KAylee's dog, was found in KAylee's bedroom, and we know that Maddie and KAylee were in Maddie's bedroom. So if you're looking at the house from an outside perspective here, Xana's bedroom is all the way over here. KAylee and Maddie are upstairs here on the third floor, and Dylan is directly beneath them on the main or second floor. Now, as we look at this 3D walkthrough of the inside of the King Road residence, we see that Dylan's bedroom is directly, exactly beneath Maddie's bedroom. Like Maddie's bed is on top of Dylan's bed, essentially. You see here, it's just a straight drop down. So now let's consider how close in proximity these attacks were happening to where Dylan was in her bedroom. Is it possible she didn't hear more than was disclosed in the PCA? I honestly do not think that is humanly earthly possible. Now, also take into consideration that KAylee's dog Murphy started barking and barked continuously beginning at 4:17 a.m. We know that Dylan was up around 4 a.m. She heard what she heard. She saw what she saw, that which we know through the PCA. She certainly didn't just fall back to sleep. There's no way that happened. I don't think that's physiologically possible. So when we put all of this together, everything we know that was seen and heard, plus the idea that the dog is barking right upstairs, right over Dylan's bedroom, and now that there was correspondence between Dylan and Bethany around, I don't know, 4:15, 4:25, I'm estimating, and the dog is barking like crazy. Guys, this is starting to paint a picture of complete chaos in that house at that time. Now, remember, a murderer was just in and out of the house. The DoorDash was just dropped off. Xana, Dylan peeked outside of her door 3 times, went back in, closed it, locked it, and was like, ooh, and went back to bed, and all was quiet. No, guys. The picture that we now can see from what we know paints a very chaotic scene that must have had some significant noise going on. So what's up with that? I mean, I'm finding it hard to believe even now.
Okay, so I just want to ask you guys what you think about that, about what I just said. I had to go chase one of my bunnies because she was going into anyway, I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I have lots of cute little bunnies. What do you guys think about that? Have you considered this? And it wasn't until I learned some information that I learned from the student sources that I've been connected to for a long time, a little more in detail about what really happened, about what they know about, what Dylan and Bethany both witnessed or experienced, when I really started to consider this, that, as we're reading the PCA, we're reading things item by item, line by line, and it just kind of, your mind is processing it as a read, sort of linear. But when you put together all of the things that were actually happening, the sounds, the movement, the proximity of the movement to the observer, right in the bedroom, right above your head, bed is right above Dylan Mortensen's bed. When you consider all of these things, I believe that the whole scene inside of that house to, a witness was far more chaotic than at least what I considered it would have been when I was, kind of first imagining this horror show along with the rest of the world. What do you guys think about that? And I also I'm going to put the link to panel if anybody would like to come up and speak rather than just type. I would freaking love for someone to come up on panel. So I'm going to put that in the chat right now. Panelists wanted. Let's see. I want to pin that too, so I just got to go. There's got to be an easier way, StreamYard. There's got to be an easier way. Very good. Okay. Okay, linked panel. You know you want to come up. Okay, so the last comment that I had starred was PKC saying, Chrissy's records show all call in and out, but stated it did not show text or social media messages. Well, that would make perfect sense then, along with the, with what I'm telling you is what I believe to be true based on the two student sources that this channel has had for quite some time. Tanel, hey, how are you doing? Says, and nobody knows if they even got KAylee's phone. It was taken. Where? By who? Yeah. Yeah. I did, find it to be interesting that in the probable cause affidavit, law enforcement states that the three things that caused them to, determine that 25-minute window of time in which, the murders occurred was Dylan Morrison's statements, forensic downloads of Dylan and Bethany's phones, and then that video of the car behaving unusually in the area, and not any mention of any of the victims' phones, other than, there is also the mention of, Xana being on TikTok at 412, which is just a horrible thought, but, yeah. Nobody wants to come up on panel. I'd love to hear your voices. Angel D says, my dog only barks on alert. If he barks, there's something wrong. Toxicology showed no illegal substances in any of the victims. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Let's see. Jeremy says, Xana apparently didn't hear anything on the third floor either. She would have called 911. Xana was on the second floor, right? Did you meet someone else, darling? Nancy Drew makes a good point here, saying, I think it's hard to second guess a college-age student's reaction, interpretation to noises in a house that is usually a party house. Absolutely. All these things need to be considered. Panel. There's a spot for you on panel. None of you want to talk. I would love to hear what you guys think of some of these issues that we've been discussing. Oh, okay. You need to get your earphones to work. Okay. I'm feeling on that because we can't have the echo. Ugh. Wish there was an easier way, StreamYard. Nancy Drew says, it's easy for us in retrospect to think what we would have done or what she should have, or what she should have done, but in the moment it's difficult. Absolutely. Oh. I'm laying in bed next to my sleeping husband, can't talk. Oh. I'm sure he appreciates that. Oh, sounds so lovely. Soaking my lavender salt on my feet and toes. Oh, that sounds terrific. Gregory, have I mentioned how happy I am that you're here? Sweetie Brooke Brooke, B says, we need to talk to each other about this crazy world we all live in. What happened to love thy neighbor? It's a good question. Oh, I'm sorry, Beach Bum. I hope you're doing well. So Jeremy says, yeah, Xana was on the second floor, but I'm referring to people saying Dylan should have heard screaming on the third floor. But Xana didn't either. So maybe there wasn't screaming. Oh, that's a good point. Or maybe Xana did, and maybe that's why Xana got up. We don't know that for sure. But something that we had discussed, just a little while back was, as I was going through like a visual walkthrough of the PCA video that I created at some point.
Okay, guys, I wanted that.
Sorry. That when you look at the layout of the house, from the inside or the outside, Maddie's bedroom is directly above Dylan's bedroom. I mean, we're talking directly above it. Like her bed is situated over Dylan's bed. So just, and that's not, I just think it's important to just keep in mind, all these different factors. Let's see if I can find out. I think so. So I'm just scrolling to see if I can find something real quick. Oh yeah, okay. Here. So here is as illustrated here. Which one is this? Idaho. Okay. Oh.
Kaylee's bedroom. And we know that Maddie and KAylee were in Maddie's bedroom. So if you're looking at the house from an outside perspective here, Xana's bedroom is all the way over here. KAylee and Maddie are upstairs here on the third floor, and Dylan is directly beneath them on the main or second floor. Now, as we look at this 3D walkthrough of the inside of the King Road residence, we see that Dylan's bedroom is directly, exactly beneath Maddie's bedroom. Like Maddie's bed is on top of Dylan's bed, essentially. You see here, it's just a straight drop down. So now,
yeah, and then Nancy Drew was saying to Jeremy, and this is a good discussion point. Certainly, Jeremy, good point. Or the house is constructed as such that it makes it difficult to hear sound in other areas of the house. Yeah, all that. The only thing is, with Maddie's room being directly above Dylan's room, and I was talking about this earlier, when I realized that, I was like, oh, wow, damn. So here you see, like from the outside perspective, you see the pink M because Maddie loved pink. There's Maddie's room, and we know it's not a very big room. So just about, 5 feet from that window is the inside side of Maddie's twin bed. And then just one drop down below is Dylan's bedroom. And, we know in Dylan's bedroom, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter. The rooms aren't all that big. But where was the bed situated? It was over on the wall by the M here, basically. So it's like literally right beneath Maddie's bed.
Beneath Maddie's bedroom. Like Maddie's bed is on top of Dylan's bed, essentially. You see here, it's just a straight drop down. So now let's consider how close in proximity these attacks were happening to where Dylan was in her bedroom. Is it possible in the PCA? I honestly do not think that is humanly earthly possible. Now, also take into consideration that KAylee's dog Murphy started barking and barked continuously beginning at 4:17 a.m., We know that Dylan was up around 4 a.m. She heard what she heard. She saw what she saw, that which we know through the PCA. She certainly didn't just fall back to sleep. There's no way that happened. I don't think that's physiologically possible. So when we put all of this together, everything we know that was seen and heard, plus the idea that the dog is barking right upstairs, right over Dylan's bedroom. And now I believe I know that there were phone calls being made or texts being made to all of the roommates, and there was correspondence between Dylan and Bethany around, I don't know, 4:15, 4:25, I'm estimating. And the dog is barking like crazy. Guys, this is starting to paint a picture of complete chaos.
So, yeah. So what do you guys think about that? Bouncing back to that question. Jennifer says, hi, Kelly. Hi, everyone. I am so confused on this case. Oh, girl. Yeah. And, really the bottom line is always this. What Marco says, that's why it kind of sucks that they demolished the house. My gosh. I can't imagine anything ever being said that would change my mind as to what a horrible idea that was. Let's see. Yeah, Nancy Drew. So yeah, the rooms, being right on top of each other, these are all just, and guys, think of, okay, all these factors that we're pointing out here, and we're like, oh, wow, we that's important. Like, right? Well, that changes things, right? Like, these are the factors that we know about. So we know to point to them to say, this is an important point that we need to consider. And then, among us, we're like, oh, okay, this is what discussion and conversation is about. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. But think of all of those points that we don't know to highlight for discussion here, because we don't know about them. We're not privy to that, or we don't even know they exist. You know what I'm saying? Talk about head spin and confusion. I agree. Marco says, if the acoustics of the house doesn't come up in trial, then forensics didn't do their job. Amen. Turquoise says, I can also see Dylan being scared to death, but a land level window to escape after the car leaves. Oh, I never thought of that. See? And you're scared, yet you don't hop out of that window. I mean, I don't know. Something, I guess it's only in dreams. Do I try to scream and silence happens like we were talking about before? But I do know the feeling, and I know that I have felt this in real life, of being so scared. I literally could not move. I mean, I probably could have willed myself to do so if I, could have. But, every option other than complete stillness and silence seemed like a really bad one that was terrifying. You know what I mean? So... My dog found a skunk. Oh no, lemon and tomato juice, right? Is that for real? Hey, Suspicious honey, how are you doing? Suspicious says, show of hands, who thinks they'll be satisfied by Dylan Mortensen or Bethany Funk explanation at trial? Always me with the questions. Haha. This case is frustrating. Yeah, you need to, I think that we need to put you in a position of being our What's the Obsession official poll question writer. Do you accept, Suspicious? I think you'd be great at it. That's a really good question, though. So when we do hear what Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk to have to say out of their own mouths, now, under the parameters of, direct questioning by an attorney, and then a cross-examination, and then I'm sure a redirect and a recross, are we going to be satisfied with that, or are we still going to want more? That may depend on some personal qualities each of us possess, but that's a really good question. PKC says, after hearing KAylee was trapped, what Dylan Mortensen thought was playing with the dog was probably KAylee bumping the wall. Oh my God. That just literally made me feel like, yeah, that's, I haven't had that thought yet. That's a thought to get used to. Yeah. Wow. Janelle says, Bethany Funk's exculpatory testimony piques my interest. Watch the video I uploaded yesterday or today. I can't remember. I don't know if I have any more stamina for that one. It is, yeah. Yeah, Jeremy says, very sensible here. It might make more sense once we hear from Dylan and Bethany and get a better understanding of what they were thinking. Absolutely. Hey, Pepper Boyd, how are you? I know, I always find my typos after hitting enter too. Hi, Bob's Poison. Did you say it right? Yes. Says, correct me if I'm wrong. My friend and I saw in the beginning that Bethany and Dylan were in the same room. Do you mean in like the beginning of the commentary about this case or the beginning of this video or live stream? I do not believe that they were in the same room. At some point during that night, they may have been after this happened. I'm not sure, but Nilda says, I agree. Roommates may have been involved and definitely knew a lot more. I'm surprised by that, Nilda. Tell me more. Tanel, I'm not posting some of your comments just because you know YouTube, but I am reading them. I just want you to know that. Okay. Yeah, and Jen kind of echoes that, saying, thank you for being understanding. So understanding, chat. YouTube has restriction on some words and phrases that are deleted. Thanks so much, Watts the Obsession family. Yeah, it's nothing personal against any of you. It is the rules that are imposed upon us. Turquoise says, another thing is hearing KAylee Goncalves playing with the dog just means that she should hear all in Maddie Mogen's room. Yeah, if you haven't yet, please hit the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed yet, I hope you decide to subscribe. We'd love to have you back. I'm so happy. Suspicious says, I accept. It's just hard for me to know one saw him leaving inside, another saw him outside. The shock phase, okay, but hours later, I know, girl. And it can be proven they weren't asleep or passed out. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a hard sell. Sure is. Which video should you watch? Oh, that I was just talking about that I uploaded. Here, let me just put the link for it. It's my most recent upload at all. It was yesterday or today. I literally don't remember. I was saying earlier, I've had a kind of a fuck of a week. So I've gotten a little lost in the space-time continuum. But here is the link to the video. Yeah, I'll tell you all about what I've learned Bethany Funk witnessed. Okay. Oh, okay. Turquoise says, at first in the case, they let us think they both roomed on the first floor. Yes, they did allow us to believe that, didn't they? Yeah. Yep. Good. Really good point. Yeah. Yes, Tanel, yes. Richie Rich says, I have a hunch that in the end, the Range Rover might be a big boom. How so? Tell us more. Yeah, Anaphylaxis says, you got moderators are awesome. We don't want to delete your comments. We want to hear your thoughts and ideas. Absolutely. Amen. Yes, for sure, guys. That's why we're here. All right, last time, I know, earbuds and all that, but last time, link in chat if anyone wants to come up. Hi, Farah. How are you? Farah says, I'm just glad you're willing to address this. It's been so politically and emotionally biased, no one wants to even consider it. I've always found the story incredible, as in not so credible. Yeah, it's, I'm just, gotta wait until, well, sure, it's not going to be the first testimony out of the gate. So at least another year before these two surviving roommates testify. And I think it is only at that time will we hear what they have to say as they attest to their experience. And I believe at that time it will provide us some missing pieces of this puzzle we are all trying to envision, as it's not quite coming together, because there is no doubt there are pieces that are missing. Hey, Richie Rich. Turquoise says, I need to go back and listen to the words at first of what she heard. Well, that was actually kind of the point initially when I set out to do this today. But then, we kind of took a couple twists and turns. Let me see here.
Since the arrest of Bryan Kohberger,
Xana Kernodle's mom, Kara Denise Northington, is on the phone with me now.
No,
Kara,
Ashley.
can you hear me okay?
No, Ashley.
Yes, I can.
Can I just...
No, that didn't work either. Okay.
residents in the early morning hours.
And they returned home at approximately 1.
Okay, this video I put out quite a ways back. Idaho investigated Ethan, Xana, and Rumi, and that's Bethany Funk, at fraternity party. Why did police add shade?
This is just one of the many questions that presents itself when you look back over the material. Inquiring about Ethan and Xana's timeline between 9 p.m. and 1:45 a.m. This is just one of the many questions that presents itself when you look back over the material about this case.
On the evening of November 12th, KAylee Goncalves and Madison Moger were at a local bar and were later at a food truck in downtown Moscow. They arrived home at approximately 1:45 a.m. on the morning of November 13th. Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were at the Sigma Chi house before also arriving home at approximately 1:45 a.m.
This morning, police zeroing in on the movements of two of the University of Idaho victims, Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, the night they were murdered, looking specifically at the hours between 9 p.m. and 1:45 a.m. when the couple was believed to be at Ethan's fraternity.
Why are you looking for more information specifically about where Xana and Ethan were in regards to his fraternity house?
That actually seems to be one of the larger areas that we don't have a lot of information in. And so being able to locate what they did that night, to maybe who they contacted, maybe any routes that they took home, that would be important for the investigation.
Two surviving roommates were also out in the community, and they were home at approximately 1 a.m. and did not wake up until later that morning.
Although there could be many reasons for this statement may be one of the key reasons the world was stunned when the PCA was released, revealing details about what happened in the 1122 King Road residence in the early morning hours of November 13th.
Two surviving roommates were also out in the community, and they returned home at approximately 1 a.m. and did not wake up until later that morning.
Here's an excerpt from the probable cause affidavit itself. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. DM stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Goncalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here."
On the morning of November 13th, at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call was placed to the Whitcomb Dispatch Center reporting an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence and was made from the phone of one of the surviving roommates. Moscow Police Department officers responded and located 4 victims, 2 on the second floor and 2 on the third floor. The Latah County coroners conducted autopsies, and detectives have been provided with the results of those autopsies. We know that the autopsies confirmed the identity of the 4 victims, determined the cause and manner of death as a homicide by stabbing, and determined that it was likely all 4 victims were asleep during the attack. Some of the victims had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times.
There have always been legitimate questions regarding the autopsies and the reports of the county coroner, Kathy Mambut, including the statement that Chief Fry just made, which is clearly inconsistent with itself, saying that the autopsies revealed that the victims were likely asleep, immediately followed by the statement that some of the victims had defensive wounds.
Meantime, Goncalves also told me the county coroner called and told her 17-year-old daughter graphic details from the autopsy over the phone.
She asked, "Are you sure you want to know this?" And my daughter, thinking that she did for whatever reason, said yes, and she proceeded to tell her.
And you haven't spoken to the coroner?
No.
The family says they met with authorities Monday to express their grievances. A Moscow police spokesperson declined to comment on allegations relating to communications with the family. NBC News reached out separately to the coroner, but received no comment. This morning, 8 days into the search for the white Hyundai Elantra, Goncalves says it's becoming harder to remain optimistic.
Are you confident the police are going to solve this crime?
I have to be.
The Goncalves family also says they're speaking out on behalf of Maddie's family as well. They say that family is too grief-stricken to talk. They say that Maddie was their only daughter and that Maddie and KAylee were the best of friends. Craig.
I want to address several areas of speculation, conjecture, and misinformation that has circulated on social media platforms and otherwise. We do not believe the following individuals are involved in this crime: the 2 surviving roommates, a male seen at the grub truck food vendor downtown, specifically wearing a white hoodie, a private party who provided rides home to KAylee and Madison in the early morning hour of November 13th. Additionally, the identity of the 911 caller and the 911 call have not been released, so any information out there is speculation about that. Investigators are aware that multiple phone calls from Madison and KAylee's phone were made to a male subject.
So we do know, of course, that person that the investigator is referring to is Jack Decor, the person that both KAylee and Maddie were texting and calling right up until the time that this horrible event occurred. Now, what's interesting here is how the treatment of the explanation of Jack Decor being a suspect or not is treated much differently than whether or not the surviving roommates were a suspect, or the hoodie guy, or even the person who provided the ride from the grub truck back to the residence. Now, I'm in no way saying that there should be shade cast on Jack Decor, not at all. It's just interesting to me that investigators have said that since that Monday after the tragedy occurred, when they first talked to Jack Decor, that is when they were able to clear him. Yet they did not take the opportunity to clear him in the eyes of the public here.
Hi, Emma Epperly from the Spokesman Review. I know you've said you're not going to release who the 911 caller was.
Real quick, because I don't want to forget. What's up with KAylee's phone? Some people are like, KAylee's phone is missing. I thought law enforcement had it. I am just going to be honest. I'm completely not knowledgeable about this discussion. What's up with KAylee's phone? I didn't know that there was ever a question of, was it missing? Great idea to pin it so we can reflect at trial. Oh my gosh, there's going to be a lot to reflect on. I need to know about KAylee's phone. Oh, Richie Rich says, a parent say they never got it back. Well, right. Okay. That's, yeah. But law enforcement was in possession of it, or is still in possession of it, correct? As far as we know. PKC says, I assume law enforcement had it. Parents stated they didn't know why it hadn't been returned to them yet. Okay. I do remember that statement, but okay. So the assumption, as PKC is amply pointing out here, is that law enforcement has it, but nobody knows that for sure because it hasn't been submitted in like an evidence log that's been made a public matter, right? Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you guys.
But was the killer the 911 caller?
I will tell you no.
Did the roommate make the call on the roommate's phone, or can you verify it with another individual?
Actually, if we could just go to this one first. And so what I'll say to that is it was made from the roommate's call, or phone, excuse me. And we're not going to divulge who made that call. It's part of our investigation still, and when we get ready to release that, we will.
Hi, Christina Corbin with Fox News. The male subject whom the women called, has he been ruled out as a suspect or person of interest?
Everything that we have taken from those calls, we have followed up on, we've cleared, and we believe that there's no connection there.
Scotty Schwartz, NBC News. Just following up on the 911 call, you said that you don't believe that's the killer. Can you conclusively rule out the person that called 911 from inside the home as a suspect in this case?
Can you go ahead and just ask that one more time, please?
The person that was inside the home that called 911, that was not one of the roommates. Can you conclusively rule that person out as a suspect at this point?
I don't think I said that it wasn't one of the roommates. I said that it was used with the roommate's phone.
Somebody asked if that was the killer.
No, that's correct. So will you clarify that for me?
You're not confirming a roommate called 911, but if you use the roommate's phone, there's someone else at the home other than those two roommates.
There was other friends that had arrived at the location.
How many? And who got made the call?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure at this time, to be quite honest.
Do you guys have any idea if the killer's still within the community, or are you looking outside the community for the killer in terms of their physical location?
We are looking everywhere that evidence would lead us. I can't say if the person's here. I can't say what community the person's in. We're utilizing every resource we can to make that location of that individual. And part of that is the safety of our community is paramount. And that's why we brought in the resource that we brought in to keep our community as safe as we can.
Being so close to the center that kind of automatically an interstate investigation. Can you comment on that?
I cannot comment on that. I'm not even aware.
If you look in Washington,
We're looking everywhere. I'm going to take 2 more questions.
Do you still believe this attack was done by one perpetrator? And if so, how does one individual kill 4 people at night and not wake up the other 2 roommates?
Our investigation will continue to look at all avenues of that investigation. I cannot disclose any of that information. I don't even know that information at this point in time, and that's why we're continuing to investigate.
you don't know how that happened without the other two roommates hearing it or waking up.
We do not. 1 more question.
Hi, Angela Palermo, Idaho Statesman. In the press release yesterday, you confirmed that the victims were found on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the home. Can you say which of the victims were found where?
I'm not going to go ahead and disclose that information. They were found on the 2nd and 3rd floor, and that's as far as we're going to go with that part of the investigation too, because all those key pieces do come to play later. So we do thank you. We thank you for meeting with us. We thank you for helping get information out, and I can assure you we will continue to work hard. We will continue to do everything we can to solve this. So, thank you.
Let me show you. Let me show you the possibility for person will strike again. In terms of technology,
Yeah, guys, I'm in I'm a pretty extroverted person. I'm in, a career where I talk in front of people all the time, like small groups of people, large groups of people, really large groups of people. I have a YouTube channel. I still get nervous sometimes before a freaking live stream when I'm not even thinking anyone's going to show up and not even a lot of people. I can totally understand why he was showing indicators of nervousness. Chief Fry, absolutely.
This channel looks forward to seeing that complete justice is served for the Idaho family.
Okay, so Miss Nilda is backstage. So I'm going to bring her up. Hey, Nilda, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, KAylee?
Good. It's so wonderful to see ya.
Thank you. Wonderful to see you too.
So what is on your mind, my friend?
Well, I know this is tough because I heard a quick statement, which makes sense, as far as the victims, right? Bethany and Dylan, that if they're hiding in a basement, they're going to get criticized for not moving on. If they're caught living their lives, as opposed to seeing they're in a healthier place, moving forward slowly, They're going to be
Mhm.
criticized. Keeping that in mind, if I share my feelings on just my perception, I just can't get over the fact. I can't excuse it. I know there are factors that we haven't seen and won't see or hear until trial. But regardless of how you spin it, the only thing that doesn't make sense to me, even if they were truly frozen, how do you justify being able to not call one or two people? You were able to mark several phone numbers of different people other than the roommates in the house. That if I understood correctly, which is something that's new to me, I was understanding they were calling people off campus that actually came. If I understand correctly tonight, I don't know if they were trying to contact other roommates, but from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, I understand that at least one of them tried to call or successfully called many, many friends. So when you look at the time span of how many hours it took to call 911, what was it, around 11 a.m. or something? Well,
11:56 or something.
okay. So again, if I didn't misunderstand, am I correct in understanding that prior to calling 911, they were able to call several people outside of the of their house to come over, but they couldn't mark 911 until 11 something?
Okay, well, all right. So that's really interesting. Okay, so all right. All I can tell you is what my understanding is. Do you want to know what my understanding is?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay, so my understanding is that that evening, like around the time when the attacks were happening and just thereafter, the communication that went out from Dylan first, and then there was communication with Bethany, was just to the people that were inside of that house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I even having I'm sorry, even having some really great sources who are really close to the case and who've been proven themselves to be very reliable, I still do not have an idea of what happened after those communications were made to the people inside the house, and then the friends who do not live in the house were summoned the next morning, and the 911 call was made. And I honestly think the reason that is, maybe they're just choosing to not tell me something. That certainly could be the case, but we have pretty open conversations. I think that they do. I don't think that they have any better idea than the rest of us either.
Okay. So we're all kind of in the dark, so to speak, until they divulge more information. Which, do you agree we probably won't learn a whole lot more until the actual trial?
Yeah, absolutely not. Everything. One of the reasons I stopped. Well, there were several reasons I stopped talking about this case, and I just want to make a point that one of them is all of the pro-Bryan Kohberger people who were like threatening myself and my physicality and my livelihood, and y'all better chill out. But it was also that, and it still is the case. After I talked with the two guys from the University of Idaho, and we were talking about things that I was discussing with them on this channel. Everything that I was putting out needed to be going under legal review. And I think in some ways, the limits I've been able to go to are as far as like I would certainly feel comfortable with. I dare say as far as like a person could go to without there being some kind of consequence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that though that broad and strict gag order is damn broad and damn strict. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
No, and I figured, because I look at that side, but then I also see on the other side of things, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that prior to the night of the unaliving, So
Mm-hmm.
I know with YouTube's thing, isn't that what we're supposed to say, right?
Yeah. I'm so
Okay.
silly. I know. So silly. Yeah.
I didn't know if it was still if it was just typing or also verbiage that we had to adhere to. So okay, so you know what I'm talking about. As far as
I'm
the
honestly
writing,
not clear either. I know what you're talking about.
okay.
Yeah.
I just don't want to bring you any complications you don't need.
Oh, I
Um,
appreciate that. Thank you.
sure, of course. All right, so the night, let me see where I was going. Okay, so I understand that the actual night of the tragedy, that perhaps, I think there were a couple
Mm-hmm.
scenarios proposed, one being that that Bryan allegedly turned off his phone, so it wasn't indicating any towers at all.
Mm-hmm.
However, there were, if my
Mm-hmm.
understanding again, and give or take some of the quantity, but I understood around 12 or 13
Mm-hmm.
times his phone prior to that evening was shown to ping super close to, if not right on King Road, very close by. And supposedly, again,
Yes. I
allegedly, from
understand
what
as
I
well.
understand, okay, and I understand that the exact phone or the exact Elantra with the same license was also identified in that area. So I'm looking at, I'm not saying that I really am not challenging the information, and I'm only going on the information that I have so far, and that and gut instinct tells me right now, my thoughts are I'm looking at him as a culprit. At the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't take away from the evidence, even regardless of how little of evidence we have. To me, it seems blatantly obvious that it's him. At the same time,
Yeah.
it's bothering me so much, Kelly. What took them? I'm totally trying to be compassionate, right? These are the victims, and
Oh
yes,
yeah.
there's
Sure.
no
You're a
such
compassionate
thing as
person.
being shocked, but I can't justify. I am one that tends to freeze, but I can't justify. How can you dial so many numbers? And I'm talking about outside of the house, but yet
Mm-hmm.
it takes you that long to call 911. I
Yeah.
just I can't wrap my head around it.
Now, I mean, I wrestle with this as well, but here, I just want to, I kind of have, wait, hold it.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to bring a little video into the stream here because the question that you're asking right now, I think it's a question that I ask myself and other people ask, and you're asking really pointedly, and so for that reason, I think I found myself kind of answering it when I came out and started talking about what it was from my understanding from the sources that we have that
Mm-hmm.
Bethany witnessed that night. And so here, I'm just going to play this for you.
Okay, great.
And Morten saw inside their house, outside of the bedroom door. Died 1122 King Road, just outside her bedroom door, as the probable cause affidavit describes. The question is, how did Bethany Funk know at this time that she was seeing a man in black walking outside of their house that matched the description as far as what he was wearing and some other characteristics as the man Mortensen saw inside their house outside of her bedroom door? That is because, as the story goes, Dylan Mortensen contacted her in a panic, very alarmed, concerned about what was going on, wanted to talk to her to see if anything strange was happening in her area of the house. And apparently they exchanged stories. I am aware this lends to a whole host of questions. During a recent live stream, we discussed, well, oh my gosh, why then didn't they call 911 right away? This makes that all the more alarming. That was the reaction that some people had right away. But my take on it is through conversing, the two roommates
Okay,
sort
so
of,
here's where I'm
you
like
know,
answering. Oops. So here's like kind of where is my response to that. People are like, oh my gosh, you know, it's even worse. Like they were talking and why didn't they call 911? So this is kind of what this is my sentiment on it.
comforted each other and justified the fact that they each saw a strange person, one inside of the house, right outside her bedroom door, dressed in black, obviously scared her if she ended up in a frozen shock phase. And apparently, from the story I've been told, Bethany Funk was also alarmed by what she saw. And through discussing this, as you know, you could imagine this is human nature. You're scared. You want to get rid of the fear. You want to get rid of the threat. The threat is the fear. So, talking to a trusted friend, you rationalize what you saw, and then in your mind, in that moment, everything is okay. At least, guys, that's how I'm thinking about this. There are so many more questions.
You know, so to me, it's not a matter of, well, they had the ability to contact the roommates, you know, in the house, and then they had the ability to contact all these people outside of the house. To me, it's a question of what mentally they were capable of and prepared to do at that moment. Because again, guys, facing something like this and the trauma and the shock and the imagine, you know, waking up or never going to sleep or whatever, but being in a house with 4 of your close friends being slain. I mean, that is something that really takes you into another universe psychologically.
Sure. And I even think back, I mean, nothing, not even close to that magnitude. But I'm just thinking about certain scenarios back when I was in school and I lived on campus, but I was still less than half an hour from my parents' house. And I think this has made me think back. And also, what's resonated with me is, well, wait a minute. Again, I'm not comparing anything to this magnitude, but situations where I was uncomfortable, where maybe we went out and some of my friends, they did the forbidden and they left me. And then I ended up extremely uncomfortable. Instead of walking alone to my dorm, which was right across the street, and I should have done it, I ask myself now, what the hell was wrong with me? Why was I what is it that caused me to be afraid to go up to somebody and say, hey, I'm not comfortable in this situation, or can I use a phone to call my parents? I asked, see, this is bringing back memories from school and saying, well, wait a minute, I can get that. I guess the thing that probably came to my mind, I didn't even allow it in my mind to be, I would call my roommate, but I wouldn't even think of calling my parents. I might have called my mom every day, but for something like this, I wouldn't. And I think, Kelly, what's resonated to me, and I think this is a good exercise.
Because that would be a whole new level of real.
Exactly. And I think this is a great exercise. I invited a friend of mine from high school to join. We've talked a little bit about, you know, I tell her I'm on this channel and I sent your information if that's okay. I told her she should join Watch the Obsession because she is aware of this case. But anyway, what it takes me back to is a feeling maybe of I didn't want to be seen as that person that was freaked out, right? Overly freaked out and needed to call mommy and daddy. Now I'm like, what the hell? I would slap my nephew if he second guessed himself and being afraid, but putting yourself in the shoes of that, you want to seem as independent as possible and try to solve problems.
That's such a great point you make, Nilda.
Yeah.
And then another thing is, we also have to consider, Bethany was Maddie's little sister in their sorority, right?
Right.
Dylan was also, younger than Maddie and KAylee. So, it's funny because somebody said something like, "Oh, a sorority house would be much bigger." Well, when I was a Delta Delta Delta, can I help you? When I was in college, I lived in, it was one of our sorority houses, and it was almost exactly like this. There were five bedrooms, 5 girls in that house. We had parties there. People were in and out all the time. There was always like a keg being tapped, and there was, it was, and I was in the position where I was a junior living with seniors, and then I was a senior, and there were juniors who had moved in as well. And, it's a completely different experience,
Absolutely.
and I think maybe what if, everybody's just having fun, they're going to think like, I'm a loser. Like, oh, like I wish we didn't even let her be on the lease. We didn't put her on the lease. Now she's going to be like that. We're just trying to have fun. And she's just like, crashing the party, like being like, I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. I can't handle myself. I'm like, I should go back to high school. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Oh, I didn't know you were a Tri-Delta. I was in an Alpha Gamma Delta.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's fun to know of. But I totally get it. Totally makes sense, and thank you for acknowledging and seeing my point of view, because I didn't know if it would make any sense. And I
No,
think
it's great sense.
like, especially after, just real quick, the Aruba scenario with Natalie Holloway. That's why
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's important for the younger folks, even in high school or coming out of, to be a part of these groups so that they can understand
Mhm.
you're not going to be negatively looked upon, just like calling the security guard. I mean, I went to Ohio State, and the Oval was one of the most dangerous places to be at night because it was Mirror Lake, and who wants to be that person to call the
Right.
security guard to walk them home? One night I was freaked out enough. I used to run real fast, and then one night I was freaked out enough where I did it. But those are the things, like, that's why I think it's good to get younger folks involved, especially those that are going to school, so they understand
Mhm.
it's a real thing. You're not going to be frowned upon as a loser because you you have doubt, and you're uncomfortable with the situation. And
Right.
if we can look back and realize, oh yeah, I guess I was more worried about that, then we have a responsibility, I think we do, to the younger generation to help them. Who cares if no one's going to look at you for being stupid? If anything,
Absolutely.
you're going to be supported as to whether to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. And I can think back to times even living in that house when I was younger, and I had that uncomfortable feeling, and I didn't do something maybe for similar reasons that we're talking about now. And I can think of a couple instances right now where the results were not good, and I'm talking they were really not good. And it really would have been best if I had said what I was feeling
Sure, but
loudly.
hindsight's 2020. You
Right.
learned from it. You had no bad intention. I just think
No, of
back
course.
look
I
back
just
then.
relate to that feeling that they may have had.
Right.
I'm so
And
glad you
now
brought that
you
up.
hear, if you see something, say something. We didn't have that support when you and I were in
That's
school.
right. That's right. That's right.
And that's something to consider, because, but, can I ask a question? Again, this is all based on
Sure.
perception, based on the information you have. If it's
Yeah.
okay for me to ask, I like hearing the fact that KAylee, I know sometimes they pronounce it I'm sorry, Goncalves, sometimes Goncalves, however you pronounce her last name, KAylee. Okay, couple things I want to bring up. One, for a while, again, based on the resources that I've had, I feel like
Mhm.
I've heard initially that KAylee was potentially the target. And then
Mhm.
recently I heard that it may have been Maddie. And then real recently I heard again, pardon me, again, that it's back to being KAylee. Do
Sure.
you have any feedback for me on that?
Um, At first, and I think this is kind of the trend a lot of people went with. At first, I thought it was KAylee. And then as, and then I just wasn't sure. And I think that, the narrative from law enforcement was very misleading and was just kind of like a mental fuck for all of us. But then, I personally do, I personally do think that the target was Maddie, and I do think that Bryan Kohberger visited the Mad Greek restaurant where Maddie and Xana were servers.
Yes.
You can just see about Maddie that she's just, she's stunning. She's stunning.
Yes, she is.
And I could see how somebody who has the psychological personality profile that I kind of have in mind for Bryan Kohberger would be like would be pathologically attracted to somebody as attractive as her, and would could become laser focused on whatever it was, whatever kind of sick thing it was that would make it appropriate for a human being to be laser focused of their attention. I
follow you.
Down. Yeah.
And one of the factors that again was brought to my attention, I didn't realize that until like yesterday, and you just confirmed it, that Maddie was indeed a server at one of the restaurants he used to go to. Was it a bar, restaurant kind of thing? Where she used to work. Okay. And did you say, and I apologize, there was a little bit, and it's most likely on my side, a little bit of interception of the signal here. What was KAylee also a server there, or just Maddie?
KAylee and Maddie were both servers there.
Oh, they were. Okay. I know they were sisters, which is what caused me to something good on my end, regardless. I'm 55 now, but I reached out to my high school BFF, and their close relationship reminds me so much of my BFF, my high school BFF and me, and that's why I said, hey, have you heard about this case? And I told her about your group, and again told her that I'm more heavily involved in the Watts case, but now I'm extremely interested in this case, and it's bothering me. And she said, she was like, it's so confusing. Her literal response to me was, it's so confusing how it took them so long to call. So I think, to your point, a lot of people have that question, and we'll learn more along the way. Now, can I ask you on another subject? Same case.
Yes, but just super quick. I just want to say hi to Zachariah Carter. How are you doing, darling? I have a special friend visiting, so I just want to say hi. Shout out to you. I see you, and I hope you're having an awesome summer. He's a former student of mine.
So I'll be real quick before I jump down. Wanted to ask you, I seem to...
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah? Okay. I'm very pleased with... I don't know. I tend to be, and again, I'm not blaming one family or giving more credit. It's just that I think it's great for those families that have the family members with a strong voice and that are not afraid to speak up. And so with KAylee's family, may she rest in peace, I hear, I think it was great that the sister, if I understood correctly, KAylee's sister, was the one who started the investigation, and I got a hold of, was it the food truck that she got the footage from, and then or was it perhaps from the Uber driver that night that Kate told her, hey, I picked them up at the food truck, and that's where she got the footage of the food truck from the Uber driver that night, and she's been like very much involved. Okay, which is great. And then their father speaking, this was my perception. Again, it's like, those of us that saw that interview so many times of Chris Watts on the porch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's kind of like that, where the message, I guess, or the message, that's not the word I'm looking for. I guess the perception I have, it leaves me a little bit confused of the dad now, and I follow him very clearly. The whole family. I'm interested in what their thoughts are as this during this journey. I kind of got the impression one of the more recent interviews with him. It seemed to me, I could be reading it completely wrong, but I got the impression recently on one of his recent interviews that he wasn't so pleased. At least, let's say pleased. I'm not saying that he's blaming anybody, but I certainly didn't see a level of support and understanding that I thought that I perceived from him. Now, toward one of the most recent interviews, it seems like he's more frustrated and they have more questions than answers, and they're not
Wait.
so.
So when you say who are you speaking about again?
The father of KAylee's dad.
Okay, Steve. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So I'll actually now comfortably include the whole family, but he's had the stronger voice, if you will, that I've seen more at least I've seen more frequently speak up. And it seemed that the sister kind of had the poker face, and the mother as well, that they knew that they've chosen to stay more quiet. I don't know about that gag order and how long that was in place, or if it even was in place. But I read from
Gag order was in place since the beginning of January.
Say that again. Oh, it got released at the.
No, I think it's been in place since January.
Oh, okay. I follow you. What I'm reading from his body language, and then his other daughter and his wife, I think, follow suit. But I see him as the leader as far as showing. This is again my perception, but I read him now that he seems to have a lot of doubt, frustration, and disappointment with the surviving roommates, with Bethany and Dylan. And I wondered what do you see from him?
Yeah. I don't. I was thinking about that kind of recently, but I don't know if I have all of the pieces of information where he's spoken out about them or it's been a topic. But then another thing I just consider is the roller coaster of emotion and just the total mind fuck these people must be.
Absolutely.
I'd be moody about like my Cheerios for breakfast every day.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
not to dismiss your point. I'm just thinking out loud.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that I'm glad you bring that up, because that helps me also consider that that's all that could be happening. Perhaps it's just the stages of grief. I read it though as it was. I guess I came across so different, right? They're again, I'm not trying to pick them apart. I'm just going like you are on the information that we do have. I just read from his demeanor, and that's kind of what caused me to start really, hey, I want to get involved in this case and learn more. It just seemed like it was a little bit of a night and day from what I saw most recently with his voice. He seems to be shutting down a little bit and showing that, hey, he's not comfortable with their actions and he wants some answers. Okay. My read immediately, it seemed like it was a huge, maybe not a 360, maybe the 180 degree turn. But I almost had, if you ask me, what do you read from this quick 2-minute interview? I see a change in saying that he's in doubt now. He's more confused. He's upset. And maybe he's not as, at least this minute, right? Maybe he's not as forgiving because he doesn't understand the dynamics behind the drastic wait time, as opposed to calling people outside of the house. But so I'm asking myself those same questions. Wait a minute, if he feels this way, does his daughter feel the same way? Does the wife? and again, from the little bit that I saw, it seems to me that the mom and the daughter are either staying quiet to let him be the main, represent the family on what their thoughts are, or do they all of a sudden have a change of heart and confusion? I just noticed.
Right. Is there any possible way if you could give me, if you could, like, what do you have any, do you know some details about the interview it is that you're referring to, it like the more recent one?
Okay, it was a more recent one for me anyway. It was, I think it was one of the couple of, probably not the last one, but then let's say I'm going to just take a wild guess between the last 5 to 7 interviews where I noticed such a difference. Where before it seemed like he was looking outside of, again, this is my perception of it. I'd say in the last 5 to 7 interviews, probably. And it seemed to be, in my opinion, I perceived him to be more open minded to what was going on outside of the campus entirely. In other words, specifically with Bryan Kohberger. But now I'm getting this read from him where he's really pissed off and questioning, because he actually made a statement that was, I'm not saying that he was blaming it all, but I'm saying that his coldness and his curiosity led to frustration in the last, and one of the last and the most, one of the most recent interviews, where he's not so patient and he doesn't seem to be so understanding, at least speaking out to us, to all of us. He doesn't seem to be so understanding about the survivors. It seems like he's really got major questions for them. That's what I read. That's what I gathered. And again, I'd say it probably goes back to, if I'm with a guesstimate of the last, I'll say 5 to 7 more recent interviews. If I find it, I could share it to you, with you later.
Oh no, definitely do. So now, since you mention it, like, this is just always what I do when I'm talking here up on live.
Sure.
Let's see. Wait, let me see if this is gonna actually work for me, baby. Let's see. Whoops. Yeah. Whoops. Jeez. These.
Take time.
All right, let me listen to the stream here.
Sure.
Oops. I freaking hate these kinds of sites.
Oh, I know.
Like, seriously.
Welcome to the CBS News Weekend. President Biden made in New Mexico. Good evening. I'm Nora O'Donnell, and thank you for being with us. A judge tosses out the manslaughter case against.
Oh my God. I can't stand these kind of sites. All right.
Take your time.
This is the one that I want to play, though. Let's see.
Yes. You'll get it.
Thank you.
Of course. And while
Alec
you're
Baldwin
looking
in the
at
Russ
that, I just want to thank you for so
into
much
the arms
work.
of his
Just 1 second, honey. Just 1 second.
Sure. Oh, I forgot it's got the volume.
My JDM Dream Build is underway, and I've partnered with eBay Motors to keep this build on schedule. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, I know these parts will fit my car, or I can return them for free. My garage, eBay Guaranteed Fit, and fast shipping make it easier than ever to keep your build on track.
I'm just grabbing water here.
There are 4 very, very important names in this case. KAylee Goncalves.
They were all 4 of them were just such great people and made such a my sisters and
Today we're here to honor the life and legacy of our son, Ethan Chapin, one of the most incredible people you'll ever know.
That kind of struck me right away.
Just let me let the buffering catch up.
My only child that we ever had, and so just smart and funny and beautiful.
She was the first person I talked to every morning, and the last person I talked to before bed.
will live on forever. Not only in my heart, but in the heart of so many people that were impacted by your beautiful smile, your grace, patience, your open heart, and your craziness.
Give us a sense of just how close KAylee and I were in life.
I think that they had a very amazing relationship. She had a beautiful smile. Her and Maddie.
And she didn't see any reason why she couldn't be as quick and fast.
We lost that person that would force us to make new memories.
Oh, well, that wasn't what I was trying to play, but that was like beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Beautiful. Beautiful. There's such, I mean, God
Yeah.
rest their souls. They were such beautiful people inside and out.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was just, yeah. You know, their families, you could, oh my gosh, the heartbreak. It's just,
I know.
it's
I
almost like
and
terrible.
I apologize if I missed something there, but would there be a way, maybe especially from like if we could funnel it from our group, is there a way for us to reach out to the families? I don't know, whether it be a card or an email or some supportive words.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I know that, let's see. I know it, like way back when we did that with like the R family on this channel, and we had 2 different things that we did. But yeah, I mean, if that's something you wanted to do, certainly we could do that. I could help. Could do it a number of ways, but I could certainly help for that to happen. Yeah, I mean, and I
That would
think
be great. I would appreciate
yeah. Well, will you email me? Maybe you and I can come up with something that would make sense and that would work. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Is it okay tomorrow?
That would be great. Yes.
Great.
That'd
Send
be
you an
great.
email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, awesome. Now here, I think that this may be one of, okay, so this was from April 7th, so it's not super recent. But here, let's just hear what the Goncalveses have to say here. This is from,
Sure.
I'm watching it on TikTok, but it's on the interview room. This is getting convoluted. I don't know who all these people are, but here, we're going to watch it. I know what the interview room is. And no offense to the person on TikTok. I'm just not familiar with TikTok. That's
No, sure. Yeah, I'm not either.
No offense. No offense, dude.
Has been released, and they discuss some of their issues and some of the things that they're dealing with emotionally and mentally, as well as their family.
Can you
As
hear
you
that, Nilda?
continue to watch the
Yes, I can. Thank you.
on and on and on. Take a listen.
Every day is hard. I think that this second year, once we went into the second year back in November, I feel like almost instantly it got harder, that 1 year anniversary. And I think that a lot of like the shock kind of wore off. I honestly believe that, you could be in shock for that long. I feel like I am in some sort of shock. I have my way of coping and dealing with things is I literally do one day at a time. If it's not happening today, if it does not affect this day, I'm not going to deal with it because my mind capacity cannot handle more than that because I am consumed with the loss of KAylee and through this trial. We have younger children and 2 older children. They're both struggling. We're all struggling. There's not a day that, we come home from work and it's not the discussion, something about going on in the trial. I stay out of the forums. I have the Goncalves page that pretty much I run. Olivia helps run it. She does. That's kind of my outlet to the outside world. But any of those other discussion forums and stuff like that, I stay out of it. I don't go on TikTok. I don't go on Instagram. I just can't. I did in the beginning for like the first couple months. And it's terrible. It's awful. It's awful. And I'm like, I can't do this. So I'm kind of like one day at a time.
I'm more of a planner. I'm more strategic. I'm the father of the family, so I feel like I have to know exactly what's going on. So I'm digging through the court papers. I'm calling up Shannon. I'm reviewing different hearings and releases, the ones that aren't sealed. I'm talking to people like you. Family page is how my family can keep things positive about our girls and be able to say things that are accurate and set records straight, because a lot of things get out of hand. It's as simple as bank accounts or college courses, when she was coming, when she was going, what car she owned. You just got to straighten that stuff out because, it's their real lives, and people kind of talk about like it's like a movie character.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, this is real, and what you're saying is not accurate.
These tunnels in the house and whatnot. It's just like, oh my gosh, this is just insane. Just insane. And so many people, you believe this and start, and and that has to do with the gun order. I think the conspiracies and all the theories and the corruption and all this. It doesn't help things. We want the truth out.
Yeah.
We want the truth ourselves, and so we're constantly trying to get it.
So we know the gag doesn't permit the truth. We know it permits rumors and lies and conspiracies. So I still don't understand why you would ever want to hide the truth. What court case wants to hide the truth? As a parent, you think that you have the right to know what happened to your daughter. The last 24 hours, you put this person into college almost as a minor, and you trust that community, you trust law enforcement in the schools and everything, and you think you're going to be able to know what happens, and then they tell you no, and you're like, all right, I'll know.
Okay, I think this is one of the things that Steve Goncalves, I think that he is becoming disenchanted with a number of things, as this is becoming his everyday reality for far too long, far too intense, far too dark and ugly and horrible.
Yep.
I think that I think that he feels that the gag order, rather than doing, anything other than this, what it is doing is keeping information from the families, information that they feel that they are deserving of, and I agree with them.
Yes.
If it's not going to interfere with justice, that and that it just creates another kind of bureaucratic layer for them to not be able to access the truth that they so desperately need, so they can wake up in the morning and take a breath and live.
Right. It makes total sense, and I see it that way too. And now that, and I appreciate you showing me this. The other one I heard before, the one you showed prior to this one, but this particular interview, I don't think I saw. But now it kind of answers. I think it answers a lot of my questions about the change in character. I think that I agree with you 100%. I don't think it was directed toward anyone, at least in within the kids' environment. If anything, it's more directed toward maybe how law enforcement is handling it with the information, and they feel like
That
they're
and Howard Bloom, of course.
yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. And so I heard that it's targeted for the trial for what is it? Summer.
June
Okay.
2025. Yeah.
Okay. But then I thought I heard something real quickly today stating that's not set in stone. Do you
Well, I think trials scheduled slated trial start dates are never set in stone. I mean, like
yeah.
think about, the court could have a case in front that, courts have to be fluid.
Right.
The judge can't be just like, oh, I'm in the middle of one trial, but the Idaho4 trial is supposed to start, so peace out, y'all.
Yeah.
No judge
Right.
here.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so we do know that the scheduled court dates are in the eyes of the court, they have they have to have the liberty to be a little flexible with them. So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
And that, it just seems like that's a common defense tactic to draw it out, draw it out, draw it out. And that I mean, if it bothers us and we want justice, I can't even imagine what the families are feeling.
Oh, I know. It must be absolutely grueling. Yeah.
Not being able to if you could tell me that they're at least gaining information even behind the scenes, but it seems like their frustration is it's just like stagnant, that it's kind of stopping their input of knowledge and then
Yeah.
waiting. I have an estimated date, but just so much uncertainty. That has to be so painful for
So
them.
much uncertainty, and I guess there's probably some kind of like hope that, this pain that I feel today is so unbearable that something has to shift so I don't feel it again tomorrow, because I don't think I could survive it. And then tomorrow shows up and it's just the same. And it's like, how
Right.
much longer can I go on like this,
Right, which makes sense. I can totally understand his wife, KAylee's mother, saying, "I can't deal with that." Her way of coping is you can't plan too much. Has to do it a day at a time, and I think that would
Yeah.
be me. I think that'd be me.
Yeah.
As a family member.
Yeah, totally. Well, listen, it's been an absolute joy having you up here and seeing you, Nilda, my friend. I'm getting tired.
Yes, of course. I was going to tell you. Thank you.
I so much enjoyed having you up here, but thank you so much, and definitely email me. And I really liked your insight and your
I look
idea.
forward to doing that. I wish you and your son and all the bunnies and your family a lot of love and blessings always. And
Thank you,
thank you
dear.
again. I know you're working so hard. You always have, and you still
thank you.
find you just don't lose momentum with us. You bring it every time, and we are here for it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you so much.
Sure. I can't get enough of the Watts case. To me, and I think I speak for all of us when I say you bring new information or somebody else with a different perspective. Maybe it's the same information, but maybe we're forced to look at it from a different point of view. We're always learning. We're always here. We don't get bored because we all want justice. We just, I know I speak on behalf of all of us when I tell you we can't thank you enough for taking time out of your personal life to help us. And
thank you.
I'm on disability, and if I had more cash flow and maybe someday I'll be more comfortable, I would love to be able to economically throw a few dollars there.
Well, thank you. Well, I love having you here, and I really do. I just adore all of you guys, and it really is. You guys are the best true crime channel community, and you really do make the channel, and it's a joy because of you guys.
Yes, well, we love you very much, and
I love you too, girl.
Thank you for letting me jump up. Okay, I
Thank
send you big hugs and kisses. Of
you too,
of
girl. You look good too, by the way. You look good.
Thank you, sweetheart. That makes me feel.
Take care, sweetie. Bye.
Thank you. You too, honey. God bless you.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Kelly.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
We love Nilda. She's great, isn't she? she had some really interesting things to say too, that it, you know, also lends to me a different perspective, which is awesome. Richie Rich says, this is the most accepting, loving community. Aw, we all have common lots, Richie. No, it was great to hear your perspective. I'm so glad that you were here tonight, Richie. Yeah. Edward. Oh my goodness. If anyone sees Kevin Bashnick, he and I are supposed to do a live stream on the Watts case tomorrow night. My phone is like out of order right now, and I have not been able to get a hold of him. I feel so bad about this. If anyone sees Kevin Bashnick, give him the message. Tell him email only right now. And please do, if you haven't yet, hit the thumbs up. It helps the algorithm, and I appreciate your support. And I'm so glad you guys were here. Thank you so much, moderators. You guys are amazing. Love you so much. And members, subscribers, people who are just popping in, you lurkers, we love you too. Get your ass down here. Get your ass down here. You don't have to sit in the nosebleed seats anymore. Get down here. So yeah, she's so sweet. Love Nilda. She's great. We go way back YouTube wise. So, well, I can't really play you an outro because of that. Those new music things are going on. I mean, that stinks, man. Tell YouTube that you are dissatisfied with their new music thing. I don't even know what to call it. I'm getting a little tired. But anyway, I love y'all. I'm planning on doing a live stream tomorrow night. Whether or not I do get a hold of Kevin, it's going to be a Watts live stream. It's going to be tomorrow night. One of two topics, depending on whether I get together with Kevin or not. But everyone, please take care of yourselves. Remember, life is hard. Use compassion when you're looking at the world outside, when you're looking at yourself, and especially in the way you treat yourself. Do something nice for yourself, y'all, because you deserve it. I know you deserve it. You know you deserve it. We all know you deserve it. No, boo-boo. So just do it. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So anybody who's trying to get a hold of me, I'm gonna owe so many people an apology. Yeah, it's a little bit of a story. But no, it was the week that my dad died. My phone, my brand new iPhone 15 had to do a forced update. So I did the forced update, had no choice. Tried to use it afterwards, never worked again. Spent like 6.5 hours on 8.5 hours one day on a Sunday. My last day of my Christmas, it was just like miserable. They're like, well, we're gonna have to send you a new phone. I was supposed to send the lemon phone back. It literally was between when my dad died and his funeral. I was thinking of a million other things. So I put that motherfucker in a drawer and I shut the drawer and I didn't think about it again. I just, pay a certain amount each month to Verizon. I don't ever get a bill or anything. So they just billed me $1,500 for the phone that I never mailed back. So they shut off my service. So I put that phone in the mail this Friday morning, whatever day of the week it is. So I can't use my phone until they get it. Oh, it's just been a pain in the booty all around. So yeah, if you ever pay a shitload of money for a brand new iPhone and there is a manufacturer defect and they send you a new phone and they tell you to send that other phone back, you better believe that you should do that as soon as possible, because it's not like you have other things going on in your life. And I'm sure it was not an inconvenience in the first place to have a phone that was not working, especially when people are trying to call you to update you on how your dad is doing when he's in his deathbed and you can't get the message. Seriously, I think that's why I've had such a bad week, honestly. So, but I don't have a phone right now, probably till Monday. Thank you, guys. You had that happen too? Yep, I know. And it was like when I finally, could get to the internet and I Googled this, it was like happening all over the place. I'm like, I don't know. I normally don't mind. I do my part. Give and receive, give and whatever. I can't even think of the words right now. I'm like good with all that, but at this particular time, it was tough for me. Yeah, you have the CEO of YouTube on speed dial. Oh my gosh. When it's like, where's YouTube when I'm literally getting like when my safety is being threatened by these crazy YouTube people, true crimers. Yeah, you can only get a hold of them through, ironically, Twitter, which now is X, and barely. Oh my gosh. But you guys are great. I love you guys, and I'm so grateful for all of you. It always happens at the worst times. Ain't that true? Thank you, guys. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Hi, American Princess. How are you doing? Okay, so since I can't play an outro, thank you, YouTube. See how things are just a little inconvenient right now. But I love you guys, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow evening for the Watts live stream. And it will either be with Kevin, who is an oil field expert, or it will be without Kevin, and we're going to do something different. And I haven't decided on what that would be yet. But everyone have an awesome night, and hugs, 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 kisses, 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 and I hope to see you tomorrow. Wait a minute. Turquoise says, I tried to renew my license online and I received a book to take my driver's. Which license? Let's see. Which one are you talking about? Oh, not sure. That's funny. Okay, take care, guys. I'll see you soon.